But this time Steven messed up. He said Caitlyn and her fans were overreacting to things like Caitlyn getting poked in the eye and body slams. But we are in the news and know what really went down and what is embellished. So let's find out what he means by exaggeration. Now, stories were exaggerated, stories were embellished. So Stephen A. Smith, the man who's basically been ESPN's loudspeaker for the last however many years, the king of hot takes, the guy who yells so loud you can feel your TV vibrating, decided to roast Caitlyn Clark. Dude didn't just step over the line, he sprinted across it, pole vaulted over it, and set the whole thing on fire. Yeah, my man was out here making up stories, completely twisting what actually went down on the court. People love a spicy take, sure, but nobody is here for mad-up nonsense. Stephen himself admitted to it. I know, right? He flat out confessed that he embellished some things. Embellished, that's fancy way of saying he lied. But okay, people straight up made up stories about Caitlyn's run-ins with other players like Angel Reese and Jai Carrington and tried to pass it off as fact.
Now, stories were exaggerated, stories were embellished.
But Stephen A. Smith now is taking it to another level.
Remember that time Jai Carrington poked Caitlyn Clark in the eye during a playoff game? Yeah, it wasn't subtle, looked about as intentional as a bad breakup text. But WNBA out here telling everyone it was just an accident. Really, we've got video evidence, man. Nobody was buying that, especially not Caitlyn's fans. They saw the poke for what it was, a straight-up dirty move meant to mess with Caitlyn. But Stephen A. tried to spin it like it was a total fluke. Come on, Stephen, we weren't born yesterday.
Knocking her into the ground, trying to accuse Carrington of poking.
And then there was the infamous Angel Reese moment, you know, when Angel basically bulldozed Caitlyn on the court, and Stephen A. tried to brush it off as normal basketball. What basketball are you watching, man? That wasn't a foul. That was a full-on body check. You'd think Caitlyn was playing in the NFL, the way Angel went at her. But nope, Stephen A. is like, hey, no big deal, except yeah, it was a big deal. Caitlyn was being targeted, and everybody saw it, everybody except Stephen A. apparently, who was busy spinning his little web of fake narrative. WNBA was basically trying to downplay the fact that Caitlyn was being straight up targeted on and off the court. It's like he was running interference for the players who were going after her while making Caitlyn look like she was overreacting or being dramatic. Spoiler alert, she wasn't.
And after she caught that fingertip in the eye or right around it from Captain.
And let me tell you, the basketball world wasn't about to let that slide. Caitlyn Clark is a star, an absolute legend, and the way she was being treated was beyond messed up. So when WNBA and people like Sue Bird started twisting the narrative to make it seem like none of this mattered, people were rightfully furious. ESPN finally had to draw the line somewhere, and that line was actually harmful, not just entertaining.
Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long. 44.
Smith didn't just throw out a few careless remarks, like he was trying to fill the dead air during a timeout. Now this dude took the embellishment game to a whole new level. And don't get it twisted. These weren't little slippy-ups or casual goofs. We're talking about calculated, deliberate moves here. Stephen knew exactly what he was doing, and the consequences. Oh, they were real, especially for Caitlyn Clark. His over-the-top stories weren't just loud. They were dangerous, painting Caitlyn in a totally different and very negative light. And let's be clear, this wasn't about Caitlyn's actual skills on the court or any real drama. Nope, it was all about making her look like the problem, while the players who were actually going after her got off scot-free. Talk about flipping the script.
Stephen A. Smith is a race baiter. That's all Stephen A. Smith has. He has nothing else. He has shown that he knows nothing about basketball by being on the NBA countdown. Absolutely no personality.
And take that infamous eye poke incident. You know the one. If you're a Caitlyn Clark fan, you definitely know it's etched in your brain. This wasn't some casual, oops, my bad hand slipped. No, during a 2024 WNBA playoff game, Dajonai Carrington decided to go full Mortal Kombat on Caitlyn's eyeball. This wasn't subtle, it was as blatant as it gets. Caitlyn practically got blinded, and it threw off her whole game for the rest of the season. Her vision messed up, her performance derailed. But what did WNBA and ESPN do? They waltzed in and downplayed the whole thing, claiming Caitlyn was overreacting. Really, dude, You're going to sit there with a straight face and tell us that a woman who just got eye jabbed into oblivion is overreacting. It wasn't a little poke, it was practically an assault. But no, they had to spin it like Caitlyn was being all dramatic. Yeah, sure, because playing half blind is no big deal, right? And for everybody who talked about, oh, you know, she's just a shooter, she's already set the all-time rookie assist record for somebody who's the greatest scorer in college basketball history. And she is an anchored C. I think that was lost on a lot of people, her ability to be able to find the open person. It's something that you're born with. Let's really talk about the fallout from that. Caitlyn went from owning the 2024 season, like absolutely crushing it, averaging 30.8 points per game, to barely hitting 8.5 in the playoffs. And why? Because her vision was jacked up. She couldn't shoot straight. She couldn't see straight. And it messed with her head. The mental gymnastics it takes to turn that into Caitlyn being the problem are wild. This wasn't just some harmless commentary. This was character assassination, plain and simple. And then we get to Angel Reese. Ah yes, the takedown heard round the world June 12, 2024, Game 3 of the WNBA semifinals. Caitlyn's Iowa Hawkeyes are battling it out with Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. The tension was thick, and then bam, Angel comes flying out of nowhere and slams Caitlyn to the ground like she's auditioning for the WWE. Drives baseline shot, rejected by Magor. Second opportunity is up and in by Nelisa Smith. Very entertaining first half about Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill hard foul. This was a statement. It was like Angel wanted to say, yeah, I'm here to knock you out literally. Because, you know, being body slammed into the hardwood tends to hurt. But what do? They call it just part of the game. Seriously, it was so brutal. And for what reason? Out of jealousy. Because she plays better than you, Angel. And because people watch the game. For Caitlyn. But I think Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlin Clark. She thinks she's, you know, the reason why this is all happening here. Caitlin Clark was going to get eyeballs whether she played against Angel Reese in LSU or not. It didn't just stop at roasting Caitlin Clark's game. Oh no, he took things to a whole new level of wild. The man went full conspiracy theorist, creating this whole alternate reality where Caitlyn and her fans were suddenly the villains in some racial drama. Can you even believe the audacity? Instead of focusing on the actual issues happening in the WNBA, Stevena thought it was the perfect time to stir the pot by claiming Caitlyn's fan base was hiding some sinister racist agenda. And of course, people ate it up like it was the hottest take ever, without pausing for a second to question the bigger picture. In my 11-year career, I have never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. You know, we had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable. Honestly, let's rewind to May 24, 2024, Hawkeyes versus Mystics. Alyssa Thomas was going full trash talk mode, practically living in Caitlyn's face after every single play. And it wasn't subtle either. Cameras caught her all night, mouthing off at Caitlyn, clearly trying to get in her head. When Caitlyn's fans called her out for it online, it was twisted into this whole racial controversy, acting like people were targeting Thomas for who she was, not what she did. It's like they completely forgot that Thomas was part of a larger trend of players gunning for Caitlyn. But Stephen A. Smith is given this massive platform, and he chooses to use it as a race biter. And when white people and black people stay silent, can't communicate, yep, you heard that right. Instead of addressing the fact that Caitlyn was getting bulldozed on the court,